This question is from, geez, I'm not going to be able to say this, and I apologize, Jayati, and I'm positive that's incorrect, and I am so sorry. I'm just not the guy to ever say anyone's name correctly. So the question is 2 weeks and tenant's not responding. We need to get into the unit to make repairs. So you need to give your tenants 24 hours notice. So you have a right to enter the property to make needed repairs. If you have a valid reason to get into the property, and a valid reason could be just that you want to actually inspect the unit. So that would have to be within reason. You can't inspect the unit on a weekly basis. That certainly becomes harassment. I really would have to say you shouldn't be allowed into the unit on a monthly basis. That feels like harassment to me as well. Even 3 months, I feel like that's just very intrusive to the tenants. But every 6 months, you have a right to access to your property, and certainly every year, and you certainly have a right to get into the property to make necessary repairs. There's no way a tenant can block you of that. So you actually have to give the tenant 24 hours notice. So if the tenant actually put in a maintenance claim, they said, hey, there's something broken in my unit, that's considered notice. They actually have given themselves notice to allow you to enter within 24 hours. We also have it built into our lease, just to be sure, that basically says, hey, if you put in a maintenance claim, we consider that 24 hours notice. We're going to come and make that repair. It's not uncommon for tenants to respond and say, no, I don't want anyone entering my property. And the problem with that is we actually have contractors who need easy access to get into. So contractors are incredibly busy, especially the contractors we use. So we use great contractors. We certainly try to use great contractors, and a great contractor is busy. And we feel lucky to be working with our contractors. We just do. And we do everything we can to make it easy for them. So if they need to get in to a property to make a repair, we do expect 24 hours notice from the contractors. That's the tenant's rights, and they deserve that. But we will not impede the contractor. So if it's difficult for you as a tenant to let a stranger in your home, I can appreciate that, but we still need to let the contractor in. So we don't actually really negotiate. We'll tell the tenant, like, hey, we're going to give you a window of time. We'll do our best, but the contractor is going to be there. You have to let the person in. And there are hurdles. I mean, tenants have pets. They'll have dogs that don't get along with other people. They'll have cats and concerns, and that's always a big concern of mine. We've never lost a cat to date. But what always sticks in my head, and we actually alert the contractors, I don't know if they pay attention, but we actually, and they probably do, but we actually put it right into our system. Anytime a service call comes up for a property, we'll say there's a cat in the property, because my big fear is that a cat will be scared, hide under a couch. A contractor will come in, have no idea there's a pet, leave the front door open. Yep, speaking of, there goes my cat. Don't run out. Contractor, close that door. My big fear is that they'll leave the door open not knowing a cat's there and the cat's going to run out. So that is a concern. I get it from a tenant perspective, but it's just not functional otherwise. And it shouldn't really be the burden of you, the landlord, or the property management company, the fact that somebody chooses to have a cat. I mean, I have a cat, obviously. My family has a cat. We love the cat, and we would make accommodations if need be. I know that's not always easy. But it's certainly not fair to the contractors. And at the end of the day, we need to be reasonable with our contractors because they're being reasonable with us. We expect fair pricing. We expect accountability. If something happens, we expect them to come back and fix it and make it right. And we expect them to do a good job. In return, we try to make it as easy as possible for them to get in to handle our rentals. So we don't want them to have to deal with, I hate to say this, call this tenant nonsense, but I don't want them dealing with tenant nonsense. I don't want them having difficulties having to get in. If the tenants actually take the key and block the contractor, we actually have built into our lease that we will charge him a $50 fee. And the reason for that is if a contractor takes their time, his or her time, to go out to a property, and they can't get in because the tenant has decided to barricade the property in some way, which does happen from time to time, we want to at least give that contractor a token of, saying, hey, you couldn't get in here, at least is this $50. Does that make up for their time? No, it often doesn't. Contractors can get paid a lot, but they do seem to appreciate it. So, yeah, I wouldn't deal with any of that. I would just give the tenant 24 hours notice and go ahead and enter. That's your right. And if they change the locks on you, that's a whole other conversation. I would go ahead and hire a locksmith, charge the tenant for that. And well, I would request a key. I would say, hey, you changed their locks. You can't do that. I need a copy of the key. You have, I'd give them a reasonable amount of time to give me that key. If they didn't give me that key, I would inform them that we are hiring a locksmith at their expense and we're going to rekey it. And we would just keep rekeying it every time they lock us out. And they would be getting those bills each and every time. So good luck with that.